Inside the walls of Columbia Correctional Institution, a man once called the Milwaukee Monster was living his final days. He was both feared and hated, not just by the public, but by the prisoners around him. And soon, someone would decide his fate. Jeffrey Dahmer, a name that still chills the world. A serial killer who committed crimes so disturbing, they seemed beyond imagination. But his story didn't end when he was captured. In fact, prison became the stage for his last, and most shocking, chapter. In this episode, we uncover what really happened behind bars. What was Jeffrey Dahmer's prison life like? And how did it all lead to a brutal ending that shocked the world once again? Before we step inside the prison walls, let's step back into the life of Jeffrey Dahmer. Born in 1960 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Dahmer was a quiet, shy boy. His childhood looked normal from the outside. 2 parents, a suburban home, but inside, cracks were already forming. His parents' marriage was falling apart. His mother struggled with her mental health. His father worked long hours. And young Jeffrey, he became isolated. He had a fascination with dead animals, collecting roadkill and bones, saying he was just curious about how things worked. But this curiosity was darker than anyone imagined. As a teenager, Dahmer turned to alcohol. He became distant, restless, and obsessed with control. And by the late 1970s, his fantasies turned into murder. But prison wasn't waiting for him yet. His crimes would continue in secret for over a decade. Between 1978 and 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer murdered 17 men and boys. His methods were chilling, luring victims with promises of money or companionship, then trapping them inside his apartment. What police later found was beyond belief. Bodies dismembered, photographs of victims, and even human remains stored like trophies. When Dahmer was finally arrested in 1991, the world was horrified. The trial was watched across the globe, and despite his lawyers' attempts to argue insanity, the jury declared him sane and guilty. He was sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms. For many, that seemed like justice. But for others, prison was not enough punishment. And once Jeffrey Dahmer walked through the gates of Columbia Correctional Institution, he wasn't just another inmate. He was a target. What happened inside those walls was stranger than fiction. At first, prison officials placed Dahmer in protective isolation. They knew he was infamous. Other inmates despised him, not just because of his murders, but because of the disturbing nature of his crimes. But after a year, Dahmer requested to be moved into general population. Surprisingly, officials agreed. It didn't take long before stories started spreading. Guards and inmates claimed Dahmer developed a twisted sense of humor. He would mold his food into shapes of body parts. He drizzled ketchup on his meals to mimic blood. Some say he even taunted other prisoners by joking about cannibalism. But behind that dark humor, was Dahmer trying to cope? Or was he mocking everyone around him? Inmates didn't find it funny. They hated him more. On the morning of November 28, 1994, Dahmer was assigned to cleaning duty alongside 2 other inmates, Jesse Anderson, a convicted murderer, and Christopher Scarver, a man already known for violence. For a brief moment, no guards were watching. Scarver later said he believed Dahmer mocked him, that he saw the killer as pure evil. Armed with a steel bar taken from the prison gym, Scarver attacked. By the time guards rushed in, Dahmer was lying on the ground, brutally beaten. He was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. At 34 years old, the Milwaukee Monster was dead. But for many, his death raised one chilling question. Did Jeffrey Dahmer finally get what he deserved? The news of Dahmer's death spread instantly. Some families of victims said they felt relief, even justice. Others said it ended too quickly, that Dahmer escaped true punishment. In prison, some inmates celebrated. On the outside, people debated. Should the system have protected him, or was this the inevitable result of his crimes? Christopher Scarver, the man who killed Dahmer, later explained that he believed he was acting on God's will. In his mind, he was the one chosen to end the killer's life. As for Dahmer, his story didn't fade. It became part of pop culture, documentaries, books, and even TV shows. His name remains a symbol of horror, proof of how dark the human mind can go. But inside those prison walls, Jeffrey Dahmer wasn't a monster with power. He was just another inmate, stripped of control, and ultimately, destroyed by the very world he once terrorized. This wasn't just prison life, it was a death sentence carried out in silence, behind steel doors. Jeffrey Dahmer's story reminds us of the thin line between justice and vengeance. But what do you think? Did Dahmer deserve his fate in prison, or should justice have been left to the system? This prison wasn't just a cell, it was a kingdom of secrets. And in our next episode, we'll uncover an even darker one. Make sure to subscribe, because the truth is always stranger than fiction.